Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Dangle Bet Celly here, live on our FTN Network YouTube page. Chris Meaney hanging out with you. My apologies here off the top. We are super late here. I got snowed in, I lost some power, dealing with some allergies and a head cold here. So bear with me. Eric Young is still without us, or we are still without him. He is still overseas and was talking to him last night. He hopes to be back next week. So another day riding solo with me. My apologies for that as well. We have a great slate of games here tonight. 8 games on the ice in the NHL. We got the Hughes Bowl, right? We have Quinn and Luke and Jack playing each other, the Devils and the Canucks in the late cap. That should be super, super fun. We have Tage Thompson set to return for the Buffalo Sabres. They're at home against the Detroit Red Wings. And I don't know if it is official yet, but Patty Kane has got to be back here pretty soon as well. So welcome in. We are live, and we got a lot to get after. I promise you I will have a guest for us on Thursday. It's a crappy Thursday night football game with a total of 30 between the Steelers and the Pats, and I don't even know. Like, that feels like 30 points too high. And I don't believe there's any action in the NBA, maybe a game or two. So it will be a lot of hockey. We'll have a guest. We'll talk. We'll have some picks and some props and some fantasy hockey talk as well, but we also will dive into like the future market again, like a little bit of a refresher here as we're 2 months into the season. Just take a look at, pretenders, contenders, take a look at the Stanley Cup odds. Maybe there's some value in the future market when it comes to some of the awards as well in the NHL, some buy lows and some sell highs. It'll be a jam-packed show with a ton of action on the ice, but just get a different perspective from some other people as well, maybe to help you in your fantasy hockey formats and whatnot. So welcome in. Let's get going here. Want to say what up to the crew. Some people have been around for a bit. Again, my apologies here, just super late. It's my days. I don't like when it starts like that. Things are now pushed back. And anyways, we'll get going here. Troy's in the house. What is your reaction to finding out that the Penguins and the Canucks are the only 2 teams in the NHL this season with more 5-5 goals than the Columbus Blue Jackets? Yeah, I mean that's surprising because when hearing that is certainly surprising because the Blue Jackets are not having a great season, but I don't know. It is surprising. Columbus playing pretty good. Like, they're playing some pretty good hockey at 5-5. They're playing okay. Like, I guess I do. When I look into the 5-5 numbers, the Blue Jackets they still grade out pretty bad. Like, they're 5th in shots allowed of 5-5 per 60. They're 3rd allowed in shot attempts at 5-5 per 60. They are top 5 in goals allowed at 5-5 per 60. But their goals for at 5-5 per 60 are not even inside the top 10. Is that a correct stat, Troy? I do believe you. I'm sure they're near the top. They're 12th in goals for at 5-5 per 60. Again, 5-5 per 60 kind of eliminate some of the teams that haven't played a ton of hockey, like the Ottawa Senators have. They played 5 or 6 fewer games than a lot of teams in the NHL. They're not getting the goaltending. They have. At goals for, Ottawa is actually number 2 at 5-5 per 60. But yeah, doesn't overly surprise me. Some of their 5-5 numbers are just okay to start the season, but they're definitely not getting the goaltending, and they've had some collapses in the third period for sure. Evan in the house, Kings puck line at plus money, Preds in 60 at -120, the Rangers at -130. Couldn't believe my eyes when I saw these numbers, and I had to jump on them. Yeah, I do. I am on the Kings. I drank a little bit of the juice. We'll probably start there. It's one of my favorite props, actually. We'll dive back into that one in a second, but I certainly like those plays, Evan. Does Kane return tonight in his hometown against the Sabres, or do you wait until Thursday to play San Jose Little Caesars Arena? I'm waiting to hear about Patrick Kane. I don't know if there's anything that has been like I said, just kind of catching up on life here. He's out. He's not going to play tonight. Told reporters he should play in 7 to 10 days. That was the report from last week. I'm seeing he's unlikely to make his debut tonight. So maybe we'll wait a game or two. Maybe it does happen against the San Jose Sharks. But yeah, it's soon. He's going to return pretty soon. I mentioned him as a sell high candidate in the fantasy hockey article over at ftnfantasy.com. Like, he's a big name player, and I mean, he's not going to be the same type of player, and he's definitely going to play with DeBrincat and those guys. They were awesome together in Chicago for years. But hip surgery it's I mean, it's a significant surgery, and we have like a very small sample size of players returning from hip surgeries. Most of them have been towards the end of their career. Kessler comes to mind, didn't really work out for him. Nicholas Backstrom hasn't worked out for him at all. I'm not saying it's not going to work out for Patrick Kane, but like in a season-long redraft, type of format, he's a big name player, and he could probably fetch you something or two. Like, you may be able to package him for something pretty decent. Like, could you get Andrei Svechnikov for Patrick Kane? I know Svechnikov's struggling, but that's a move that I would take. I'd rather have Smesh, but the rankings will be updated this week, and we'll give you a bit of a feel where we have him. We're less than 30 days away from 2024, and DJ Smith still has a job. He's like a loss or two away. I think the leash is short. We've talked about that a couple of times. I think the leash is short. Line A and the others, Kuznetsov allegedly being shopped around, put a pass first rush. I mean, Kuznetsov is I don't want to be rude on this show, but he's brutes. Like, he is not the same player that was awesome when the Caps won the Stanley Cup. And he was, I mean, did he lead the playoffs in points? He was like 1 or 2 in points in that cup run. He's just not the same guy. I've been saying this for years. He's been a bust all over my fantasy hockey articles. I know he doesn't shoot the puck. That's part of it. He just seems disinterested. And the contract is crazy. I would not want Kuznetsov in Columbus, Troy. I know, like, you got the Russian thing going on there. You don't want to be giving up any assets or pieces for Kuznetsov. Like, no chance, man. It'd be a fun little moments. Maybe you're playing NHL, you're playing with all the boys, but I don't know. Adam, what's going on? Blue Jackets do have to do something, but they're not also like what's the expectations here for the Blue Jackets? Like, I know they made some moves in the offseason. They got some young kids. They signed Provorov and Severson, but let's be real about this Blue Jackets team. Like, they're not. I know, Troy. Like, you got some of the numbers. They're not a playoff team. They're improved. And I know maybe you had some high expectations for them to make the playoffs, but I'm not shocked with what I've seen from them so far. I know they played some decent hockey. Like to see that Kent Johnson is back with the squad. Keep an eye on him, monitor him. He played on the top line with Goudreau and Boone Jenner. Didn't get any power play time. The skill will overtake like some of the minutes, the restrictions, I suppose, that's on his minutes at the moment. He'll eventually get some power play time, but I don't know, man. Like, Merzlikins can only do so much, right? Their 5-5 structure is not great. It's not great. It's improved, but it's not great. Couldn't believe my eyes. Rangers minus 130. Yeah, minus 140 now. I looked at that too. It felt like a trap. The Sens aren't playing good hockey. They're not getting a lot of good goaltending. We should see Shesterkin between the pipes. Quick win against the Sharks. Yeah, I mean, definitely lean with the Rangers here. Plus money Kings puck line. Yeah, I drank a little bit of the juice for them to win in 60 as well. They're perfect 9-0 on the road. We'll get into them in just a second. Who's this liar? Power back live in 2 minutes, 15 minutes later. Sharks up plus 1.5. Reverse puck line plus 1.5. I don't know how anybody can pass that up. It's certainly intriguing. And Crusader says, I don't know how I can bet the Islanders at this price. Yeah, you don't. It's that simple. You don't. The Islanders you never know what you're going to get with them. They don't score a lot of goals. They give up a lot of rubber. They actually have allowed the most shot attempts at 5-5 per 60 in NHL, ahead of the Sharks. The Sharks are number 2. The Islanders are number 1, and shots allowed at 5-5 per 60. The Sharks are number 1. The Islanders are number 2. It could be a fun game. It's possible. You could also see Ilya Sorokin 1-0 shutout. That's also possible. But yeah, you don't drink the juice on the Islanders. The Sharks are playing some pretty good hockey lately too. I'd say that they're live dogs, and certainly the reverse puck line is pretty decent as well. I'm not sure what to make of this game either. As Adam chimes in, we'll get to it in a second. Rangers and Sens, see some great plus money bets. Shabbat, Trocheck, Lafreniere, all intriguing. Trocheck is really intriguing to me. Shabbat, also because of the ice time that he gets. I mean, the first game back, didn't he play like 24, 26 minutes in his first game back? Is he out tonight? He's out. He's not even going to play this evening. Wow, lower body. Yeah, he did. He played 26-41 in his first game back against the Blue Jackets. He had 3 shots. He had 5 in his last game. He's always been one of our favorites, I think, Szymanski on this show, Shabbat, because of the usage. I know he's lost a little bit of his power play time with Sanderson and Jacob Chikrin on the squad now, but he is, according to TSN 1200, Thomas Chabot is not going to play. He appeared to sustain a leg injury. Man, unfortunate, man, stuff for this guy. He's set for an MRI, not good. First was the hand, the injuries popping up for him as well. Maybe you like Chikrin a little bit more, right? You get the boost again for Chikrin. Sanderson doesn't shoot the puck all that much. I like Lafreniere for a point. Panarin is just hot fire. Daily Handle, Jordan Allen. Good morning, Means, and everybody in. Okay. Still, there's a lot of comments here, and we want to get to the picks in the show that people are here for. But this is a show for you guys, so I don't want to be rude. I always want to address some of this stuff. Chris, I want you to know I appreciate you more a ton. As a 22-year-old dad, I don't get much time for myself, parenting and work, but I always look forward to the show and talking to you in the chat. Man, that's the kind of stuff that I'm here for, man. Like that, you're gonna make me cry. I'm an emotional guy. I'm pretty sensitive. Sometimes I feel like like sometimes after these shows, I'm like, man, that was awful. I don't know if I helped anybody. I feel like I'm just more annoying than anything else by myself. And I developed some bad habits like, look at this. I used to come in like no hat, trying to look clean and crisp and just having a hell of a morning. And this kind of stuff does put a smile on my face, because Eric and I have always said that we're here for you guys. Without you guys, this wouldn't be a show. And I just love hearing that. And good for you, man. As a 22-year-old dad, I know that's not easy. A lot of adjustments in your life. It could be very, very difficult. So that's what we're here for. That's what I always say on Mean Streets too. I'm just trying to create a distraction in this crazy world, and hopefully have some fun. And at the end of the day, like if you're a betting person, maybe we can win you an extra bit of cash, right? Fix the car, buy a pack of hockey cards for the young buck there. Good stuff, Evan. Appreciate that, man. Hopefully you enjoy the show and have a great night today on the ice. Lee, go Sharks. Go Sharks. Playing pretty good. And you could stop playing pretty good. It's fun. It's really hard to cheer against your teams, isn't it? Like as a Canadians guy and watching them against the Kraken, I'm like, I just don't want them to develop bad habits. I want the kids to continue to develop. But at the end of the day, like I kind of want them to lose and stockpile some picks. But, the Sharks are playing pretty good. And it was a rough first month for them. Good stuff, man, Lee. I'm going to give some love to Granlund in just a little bit. Yeah, I use the money puck and stats, not by rate. Gotcha. Yeah. Niners, man. They smacked my birds, man. They smacked my birds. Best team in the NFL by far. Only 4 NHLers have had the surgery as a result. Not pretty. Yeah, you're right. The other two, I'm unsure in the back of my head, like who the other two are, but definitely Backstrom and Kessler come to mind. Morning, everybody. How about those Yotes? We are on them as a show. We love the Yotes this season. Love them. Talked about the sprinkle to make the playoffs at 5-1. Connor Ingram, do whatever you can right now and get him. You're running out of time. He's been in the fantasy hockey article for the past 3 weeks. Shut out last night. He's owned the net for the Coyotes. He's playing really, really good hockey, man. Sound, big body, position is on point. We're seeing Alex Kerfoot playing some good hockey up on that top power play. Cooley's playing good, in the middle of the ice between Schmaltz and Keller. Lawson Krause is one of my favorite players in the NHL. Honestly, he really is. I know EY likes him a lot as well. He's a big Bangers League guy. Yotes they've been incredible, man. We talked about them in DFS last night as well. They were part of a lot of winning lineups we had. Okay. Can't wait for Columbus and Bears Islanders. All right, I think we're going to get after it. Shabbat, man, plus 150 for 3 shots. I actually have a plus 150 shot prop for you guys in just a second. I may be drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit too much. Okay, let's do this. You see some people leave the chat. They're just like, man, I was here for the picks. What's going on here? This is what we do. Welcome in, DBC family. Smash the like button. Subscribe. Rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend. We're going to produce some winners here today. Hockey's been up and down. Like the sides have been solid. The props have been up and down. Great week in the NFL. I'd rather have a better week in the NHL. So let's get going here. I'm going to start with the Hughes Bowl. I'm calling it the Hughes Bowl here tonight. in Vancouver. This one should be fun, man. This should be a lot of fun. Jack Hughes, Quinn Hughes, Luke Hughes. We have the Canucks here favored. Let's head on over to ftnbets.com and take a look at the parlay calculator, and we will see Vancouver live odds -110 over at DraftKings, and the Devils at -105 over at Bet365 if you want to back those squads. We have a total here that has moved to 7 across the board. We still see some 6.5s. It's tough to drink the juice at -134 for a total, but I did. I put this in last night. Devils and Canucks over 6.5. I mean, this Canucks team, we talked about the regression potentially creeping up in their game eventually, right? It's going to happen. Like Brock Besser's not going to shoot like 35%. He's not going to score 65 goals. JT Miller, we could flirt with 100. We've seen that. Quinn Hughes, we just seen a defenseman have 100 points last year. All these things, I suppose, are popular or possible. On the flip side, I mean, Jack Hughes leads the NHL in points per game. The Devils, we know at full health, which they are offensively at full health. They're without Dougie Hamilton. More on the impact on that in just a second. This is a team that can come at you in waves. When your third line is Dawson Mercer and Holtz, who's scoring, nice young buck for the Devils, and Timo Meier. I mean, you're loaded on offense. Tyler Toffoli is one of our favorites on this show. We love Hughes. We've been doing a lot of fun things with Jack Hughes, laddering his shots up to 7. 6 and 7, and books are Bet365 starting to catch on. Like now, I think 6. I'll check here in a second at 365, but I think the ladder for Hughes, like we're on the 4.5, right? The 4.5 is changed from last night. I think we got it at a decent price. I have this in the betting article, which there's a link inside the description of this video as well, with a few of my favorite plays and some long shots and some parlays. We'll have some goal scorers and prize picks in there as soon as I'm done this show here today. But Jack Hughes -118 over at Bet Rivers. The steepest price I'm seeing is DraftKings at -130. So still like a decent price considering. I believe he was at 5.5 the other day. But we have been laddering some of these Jack Hughes shots. But now, books are going to catch on. Like +175 for 6. It's not even great. +340 for 7. We had +500 and +425, I think, the last couple games for Jack Hughes to get 7 shots. I mean, you can go all the way up to 9 if you want. It's not my favorite bet of the day, but it's something to keep in mind because 9 shots is +950, and how can you ask for 9? Like it seems impossible for a guy to have 9 shots in a hockey game. He's done it twice in his last 3. Yeah, he's played 7 games since missing like 3-4 weeks, and he's had 8 shots in 1, 2, 3, 4 of those games. He's had 5 shots in 4, 5, 6 of those 7 games. Like that is ridiculous. Wild stuff. So yeah, I mean, you can ladder it. I've taken the 4.5. You could just do a unit on the 4.5, and you can go like 0.75 units on the 5, or on the 6 at +170. You can do 0.25 on the 7 at +340. You can do 0.20 or 0.15 at the 8 at +650. You can have some fun. Slap $5, slap a buck down on the +950 for him to have 9 shots. Anyways, it's not something that I expect to continue to happen, and it's not one of my favorite plays here. But I do like Jack Hughes for the 5 shots here tonight, and I also like Jack Hughes for the 2-point night. If I'm picking a goal scorer, it's always Tyler Toffoli. He has a history of lighting up his former teams. When he was with the Canadiens in the bubble there and the shortened season, the Canadian division. My goodness, I think he had like 20 points in 4 or 5 games against the Canucks. I'm over exaggerating, but he was great. Plus Toffoli's been good this year anyway, scoring goals. But Hughes, 5 shots, some fun with the ladder if you want. Hughes, 2-point night. Toffoli goal. And then I want to talk about Luke. I want to talk about Luke Hughes for a second as well. So Dougie Hamilton's going to be sidelined here. Luke Hughes is tied for second among rookies in points. I think he's 6 behind Connor Bedard. I like him tonight for a point at +125 over at BetMGM. It's one of my favorite bets of the day because I do like 6 or 7 goals in this game. As I mentioned, I put in the over 6.5 around -130-ish. I think we'll see some offense. The Devils can score. They're not getting the goaltending, and we know that the Vancouver Canucks can light the lamp as well. So fun game, all Hughes boys here. Jack leads the NHL in points per game. We have Quinn Hughes, who's tied for the league lead in points by defenseman with 34. And, Jack has 1.76 points per game. And then Luke has 14 points, 2 goals and 4 points in his last 4 games. Set to take on more responsibility for sure with Hamilton's sideline. He was already playing a lot, on that power play, but now he's going to quarterback that power play. He logged 22 minutes and 32 seconds in his first game without Hamilton. It was the most he's played in a month, and the 4th most he's played in a game in the NHL. Of course, he is just a rookie, but plus 125 for a point. And I like the shot prop. It's a touch juiced. DraftKings is minus 145, and we only need 2 shots for Hughes, Luke, that is. And man, if you've seen him play, you guys know like he's going to be a stud in the league as well. He's a good skater. He's got an offensive ability to him, offensive awareness. He likes to join the rush. There's a 2-on-1 in overtime where Jack sent it over to him and he put the puck in the back of the net. I think that was against the Flyers. He has at least 3 shots on goal in 3 of his last 4 games. So we're going to take him for a point. It's all about the Hughes boys here to start off the show. Luke Hughes for 2 shots, minus 145. Luke Hughes for a point at plus 125. Luke Hughes for an assist is in play. Plus 170, and even Luke Hughes for a power play point is in play at plus 275. And you see the article over at ftmbets.com, a link inside the description. We also have Quinn for 3 shots at plus 100 tonight. And then we have the Toffoli goal for plus 180 over at FanDuel. I'm going to have some fun here tonight with some same game parlays, just some pizza money, maybe like 2 points you can do some milestone stuff, 2 points for Hughes and Toffoli. That's plus 650. For those guys. Daily Faceoff has Eric Holla penciled in on the top line. I'm interested in Mercer for a point too. He's just been really good. And obviously I'd like him to play on the top line with Toffoli and with Hughes. And it's possible he gets back up on that top line. I'm not seeing him anywhere for a point, Dawson Mercer. But that third line could be sneaky tonight with Holtz and Timo Meier, like those guys maybe to pick up points. And I also want to just give some love to Nemec as well. He made his NHL debut. He should be picked up in all formats, just because I think that we may not see Hamilton again. Like it could be playoff time or whatnot, but Nemec, nice young rookie prospect, top pick, made his NHL debut. He picked up 2 points, had a power play point, 3 shots. Also had a hit. Played 22 minutes and 38 seconds. That's pretty significant for anybody to make their NHL debut, let alone a defenseman. And it was really fun to see him and Luke together. Now they allowed a couple goals. To the Sharks, right? My goodness, of course. But 6-3 loss. It may not be great for the defensive game to have those two together, but at times, like I guess they needed a goal and Ruff put them together and they were playing some power play stuff together, but he's going to play on that second PP and he should be on DraftKings. He wasn't on DraftKings the first time around. Is that Jack? That's Jack and Toffoli at minus 110. I was actually surprised to see plus 650 for both of those guys. Yeah, it is like that. This too is, that's going in the tracker. I left that one out of I had so many plays in this game that I left this one out in the article, but I think I put 2 points, or did I put it in there? I may have put that in there, Adam, in the FTM Bets article. Anyways, I like it. For those that have 365, Toffoli and Hughes point minus 110 is great. And for those guys to have 2 points, a little sprinkle, plus 650, even better. I like Jack to have a couple points, right? Okay, so Evan, you're still talking to me, man. You're the highlight of my day when you do this show. I set the alarm to make sure I'm here on time. And my apologies, because you set the alarm and you had to wait around for my sorry ass. Hamilton being out is a big opportunity. It is. It's a big opportunity for 2 young defensemen who can bring it. In Nemec and in Luke Hughes. So that's where we're starting. I think the Devils win the game. I'll lean with New Jersey. It's basically a pick 'em. Should be fun. Let's get the 7 goals. And if we get the 7 goals, we should get some points here from this contest. Let's head on over to Columbus to see Troy's Blue Jackets here. Upset? I don't know. Not sure I'm feeling it, Troy. Not sure I'm feeling it at the moment. I got to continue to ride this Kings team. I think that they're the best team in hockey. I don't even know what their cup odds are. We have them at 22-1 in the tracker to win the cup from the summer. I would jump on them now if you can, right? What do we got? They're probably 14-1. They're still 14-1. I would jump on them. This is the best team in the NHL. This is the best team in the NHL. They're the deepest team down the middle in the NHL. When Pierre-Luc Dubois is your third line center, second power play, you're getting the breakout here from Quinton Byfield. The goaltending's been phenomenal. Cam Talbot has done this before in spurts. Injuries have crept up in his game at times. Hopefully he can stay healthy. He's not going to be this good. I wouldn't sell high in season-long leagues. You just ride with them. The Kings are so good at 5-5. They don't allow anything. We talked off the top of the show about the Blue Jackets and all the rubber that they give up. The LA Kings are third in shot attempts for at 5-5 per 60. They are third in shots for at 5-5 per 60. They are first in goals for at 5-5 per 60 at 3.36. We'll get into the road numbers in just a second. And scoring chances for at 5-5 per 60. New Jersey's one, LA is number two. And I don't even have to tell you on the flip side, they're stingy, right? They're creating all these chances and they're not giving anything up. Their top 5 in high danger chances allowed. For example, we can look at just say scoring chances allowed at 5-5 per 60 here. Where are we? Again, according to Natural Stat Trick, we are finding it in a second. They're the third stingiest. You got the Hurricanes, who are always on this list. The Devils, the Kings, the Kraken, the Panthers, the Stars, and surprisingly, the Oilers. Like, the Oilers have played a good brand of 5-5 hockey. They're just not getting any goaltending. So I like LA. I was drinking the juice on them to win in 60 at -155. I'd put like 2 units on that, and I put a unit on the puck line, or you can just forget about the in 60. You don't want to drink that juice. I don't blame you. Just taking them to win on the puck line, or having some sort of same game parlay where the Kings win and Kopitar and Kempe pick up a point. I think LA wins this game. I get it, Troy. Maybe a bit of a better brand of hockey lately for the Columbus Blue Jackets, but I mean, this Kings team, you see how they dummied the Avs the other night? Like, this team is legit. They're for real. I'd like to see them pick up another blue liner or two, maybe at the deadline. And we'll see how far Talbot can take them. But I'm really impressed with Quinton Byfield. One of my favorite plays on the board today as well is Byfield at, I just got to get the timestamp here. 26 minutes. My bad. LA and Columbus. So my favorite play in this LA and Columbus game is Quinton Byfield, -105 over at BetMGM for a point. He's in the middle of a breakout season. This is the third full year in the NHL for Byfield. He's a former second overall pick in 2020. 6 goals, 18 points in 21 games of the season. He scored twice in his last game to pass his career high in goals, with 5 that he set as a rookie in 2021. And his 18 points are just 4 behind his career best set last season. He's averaging a career high in ice time, 15:09 per game, up from 1 minute last year. But the biggest boost that I've seen, because last year he played with Kopitar and Kempe towards the end of the season. There were some decent moments from him, more consistency in his game this year. It's been one of the better 5-5 lines in the NHL, and Kempe and Kopitar are just phenomenal together. And then you have Byfield there benefiting, but playing good as well with some couple primary assists lately. But it's the boost to the first power play unit. Like, that's he has seen a significant bump in ice time when it comes to power play time, right? He only averaged 117 per game on the power play last season. He's at 227 this year. So not only 5-5 with those two studs, but power play time with those two studs, with Fiala there as well and Drew Doughty. He's racked up 17 points in his last 16 games. He's hit the score sheet in 10 of his last 13. In this matchup against the Blue Jackets, plug your ears, Troy. 3rd in shot attempts allowed, 5th in shots, 6th in scoring chances, and 4th in expected goals against at 5-5 per 60 from Natural Stat Trick. And the Kings, not only did I say that they lead the NHL in goals for at 5-5 per 60 at 3.36, they also lead the NHL in goals for at 5-5 per 60 on the road at 4.01. They're scoring 4.01 goals at 5-5 per 60 on the road. They're a perfect 9-0 on the road this season, and they've outscored their opponents 42-15. 42-15. Anything can happen. You're not going to go undefeated on the road in the NHL all season long, and usually these streaks end with like against a team that's not as solid. And we can say this with confidence, right? The Blue Jackets are not as good as LA. The 5-5 structure, I mean, it's night and day between these two teams. Anything can happen in the NHL. We could see an upset, but I like the Kings. I'm going to follow this trend, especially the way that they're playing away from Los Angeles. I am totally in on LA. So I like Byfield. And, we have them. I was debating 2 units. Just put the unit, I know the unit stuff gets tossed around and it can be confusing. Bet how you want to bet, but it's a good way to keep track of things, and it's a good way to kind of gauge on how much you like a bet. So, for example, like a unit on Quentin Byfield for the point at minus 145 or minus 105, excuse me, and then maybe half a unit on the assist at plus 160. Also think like maybe 0.25 on the power play point for Byfield at plus 325. I got Kopitar down here for an assist at plus 130. I was in on the point at minus 150, but that number is gone. I like Trevor Moore. A little bit of juice here for the 3 shots, but I do like him at 2.5 at minus 150. And I like Kempe to score. Like Toffoli and Kempe are my guys. They're shooters. They look to get the puck to them on the power play as well. Same game parlay here for Kempe and Kopitar. This is where I thought I wrote in the Toffoli and Hughes one. Toffoli and Hughes one's the best one on the board tonight, I believe. But this one may be the second best one. And we have Kempe and Kopitar for a point at plus 120. Kempe and Kopitar, I got to write that one down. And then Kempe and Kopitar for 2 points each at 10-1. Just a little bit of a sprinkle there. Same sort of deal, right? Hughes and Toffoli 2 points each, plus 650. And then Kempe and Kopitar 2 points each at 10-1. I like the Kings and the puck line at plus 116. That number may be gone, but it's still plus money somewhere out there as well. Okay. Always like to check back here on the chat. Juicy, but Fiala over 2.5. I like this too. Like, sure, I went with more, but he's in play as well. Szymanski. It is juicy, but the Blue Jackets give up so much that I'm definitely in on those two guys. And this could be you could ladder maybe. You could ladder, I think, Kempe. He's 3.5 plus money. He hasn't been shooting as much, but the matchup is right. And if there's a couple penalties from the Blue Jackets, you could see like I could see like a 5 or 6 shot game from Kempe. Let's just take a look. It's probably pretty decent, actually. Kempe, let's just go 5 shots. Let's see what we can ladder here. And the milestones is just an absolute game changer. Plus 270. It's not as good as I thought. Plus 275 for 5 shots, plus 575 for 6 shots, plus 950 for 7 shots. And Jack Hughes at 7 shots is like 3-1 or something silly like that. What a maniac. Yeah, I kind of forgot about the revenge factor here. PLD and Gavrikov. Maybe Pierre-Luc Dubois wants to get a goal or 2. King's puck line is cherry on top of fixing the car. Let's go. Let's have it. Sudbury Wolves alumni Byfield. Yeah, I went to a Wolves game a few nights ago back and watched Quentin Mutsi Dvorsky play. And man, those boys are good. The future in the league is bright. Absolutely. George just chimes in at the right time. Like, I just saw you pop in. And what are we talking about? Freaking Pierre-Luc Dubois and the bats for Pierre-Luc Dubois. This is how George's Pierre-Luc Dubois parlay was going to go tonight. Oh yeah, George's parlay, Pierre-Luc Dubois, get the bats on the go. Yeah, good stuff. I'm not betting Pierre-Luc Dubois, but maybe there's a little bit of a giddy up in his step. The line is moved to you can get the push. I'm fine with the 7. I'm fine with the 7 instead of the thing here is like, yeah, this is tough. It's a really good question, Gage. Question is, the line is moved to 7 in the Vancouver game. Do you still like the 6.5 instead? So you could get the push. Not every book offers this, so just be careful. I know I saw ESPN bets. I saw some people talking about ESPN bets that they weren't honoring, like they're counting pushes as losses, which is just that. Like just losing your money. Like most books will just give you the money back on like a push or something like that. Avoid it. If there's some sort of injury, just be careful. I don't know. Like, I don't know all the ins and outs with every sports book. I've taken the juice at 6.5. Like, I see a 4-3 game, but at this point, like 7's probably plus money. If you get to the 7, it's not a loss. And then you may get the 8 and then giddy up. You're on your way. So yeah, I would just say take the 7. It's high. It's so tough to take a 7, but the NHL has changed, and there's Devils are playing to a lot of overs. They can't keep the puck out of their net. And they can score goals. So I take the 7. Take the 7. Forget the juice. Take the 7. I don't know if that's a single bet for you or it's in a parlay or something like that. I feel better about it if it's a single bet for the 7. Okay. I think we're good on that game. Those are my 2 favorite games. The third bet that I have inside the FTN Bets article, we don't have a board for it, is from the Islanders in the Sharks game. So San Jose in New York, and I know we've been picking on the Sharks here, but I mean we're not riding with the Islanders. It's like San Jose or nothing. I think the under is definitely in play here. It's a low total, 5.5, but you get plus money for that. You know, if it's Blackwood and it's Sorokin, it could be a 1-0 game. I could see that pretty easily. So under for sure. And like the Islanders are minus 300. So you can get San Jose at plus 250. I like the reverse puck line call by Evan earlier. I was thinking about putting this in the tracker myself. Plus 110 for the Sharks to keep this within a goal. And but I think the best play from the game is the under 5.5, and then you don't got to worry about the sides. I know San Jose scored some goals the other night, but I like the under. I see like a low scoring game, but I want to give a little bit of love to Mikael Granlund. So maybe I'm nuts here. Szymanski, you talked about a play at plus 150 earlier. I like Mikael Granlund for 3 shots at plus 155 over at DraftKings. We've had him in the tracker over the past couple games. He was 1.5 at like a decent price, and he's just skyrocketed up to 2.5 shots. And it's, you know, when you see like some sort of prop at plus 150, you're like, whoa, like this doesn't seem like it's going to hit. This is out to lunch. But I think sometimes books sleep on the NHL. Like I really do. Like it took them, man, we had some fun on this show 3 years ago. Remember when we were getting McKinnon at 2.5 shots and Austin Matthews at 2.5 shots? Like, man, it was like a month and a half. We were getting 2.5, 3.5 for those guys. McKinnon's at like 5.5 tonight. But anyways, there's edges, and I'm seeing one here for Mikael Granlund. And we got this in the tracker at plus 155. I see on DraftKings now it's plus 145. Bet365 has plus 150, and BetMGM has plus 145. So Sharks playing better recently, right? A little bit of an uptick in their game. 3 wins in their last 5. Don't have a ton of skill up front, obviously, but they're leaning on Granlund. So this is a former top pick, 9th overall in 2010. It's got some skill. Some real nice moments with the Wild and some decent moments with Nashville. And his game's been very, very quiet really over the past couple of years. He played with the Penguins last year, 21 games. He averaged 15 minutes per game. And he played with Nashville last year, 58 games. He averaged 18 minutes per game. He's averaging a career high 20 minutes, 39 seconds per game. So the usage is there. He's getting the ice time. He's played at least 21 minutes in 9 of his last 10 games. So even more than that 20. He's averaging nearly 22 minutes per game over the last 3.5 weeks. He has 7 points over his last 5 games. He's got 18 shots on goal over those 5 games, and he's had at least 4 shots on goal in 3 of them. He had 7 the other night in the very last game that he played against the Rangers, which a stingier matchup for him for sure. A matchup here against the Islanders. As we talked about earlier, they've coughed up a league high 72.62 shot attempts at 5.5 per 60. A league high. This isn't the same Islanders, you know, of buried trots and shut down garbage. This is a team that plays loose. They give up a lot. They allow more shot attempts than the Sharks. Now, the Sharks allow the second most, but the Islanders allow the most. The Islanders allow the second most shots at 5.5 per 60, and the Sharks allow the most. So we could see plenty of shot attempts in this game. I got the over 2.5 for Granlund here. I'm riding with it, man. Let's go. Let's get this plus 150. We'll fix the car and we'll move on. Also like Horvat for over 2.5 shots at minus 135. Brock Nelson is juiced at minus 160, but Brock Nelson's been hitting pretty consistently. I like that one quite a bit. Maybe it's a parlay type of shot prop that you can put in with. Maybe we'll find somebody else. Like you can put in with Fiala, or you can put in with Trevor Moore. We talked about those guys at minus 150. But Horvat for 3, minus 135. Nelson for 3 at minus 160. And I like the Granlund point. I don't love it as much because, as I said, I think this is a low-scoring game. Is Sorokin confirmed? If Sorokin's confirmed, you know, you don't love it as much. He is confirmed, but I still think it's fine, man. You're 22 minutes for a player on first line, first power play, feeling it at the moment, shooting the puck. A team that's giving up that much rubber, I got to take a shot on it. So the point, but I like the shots. What's going on? You were awesome that year. Yeah, it was a fun year. I think a lot of people were awesome that year. And now it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I should get more unders in my life because, man, we are missing a lot of props, like one shot. It feels like the process is right with the attempts, but the prop game is not where it should be, and I'm not overly pleased with it. Hopefully we can get on a run here. The sides I've been happy with. Two things we normally like to attack. I'm not on tonight. Props versus San Jose and Avs props. Just not seeing any value in those games. Yeah, I think the Horvat one's okay, and then Nelson maybe in the parlay, with Fiala, but definitely like Granlund. Let's see if we can get Granlund tonight. Plus 155, three shots. Let's go. You could also I know I'll reference 365 again. It's a conservative play, but at the end of the day, we want to produce winners, do we not? You can do the ladder on Nelson. The ladder on Brock Nelson may be interesting here. You could just do 2 shots for Horvat, 2 shots for Granlund, 2 shots for Nelson. That one's probably let's see what it pays. Is it plus money? If it's plus money, it's not bad. I know you're asking for 3 things. They don't even have Granlund on 365 at the moment. Yeah, they do. It's plus 100 for Nelson, Horvat, and Granlund to have 2 shots each. If you want to play conservative with Granlund, I think Nelson gets 3. You can go Nelson 3, Horvat 3, and then Granlund 2 at plus 280, or you can just do Nelson 3, Horvat 2, and Granlund 2 at plus 170. That's one I feel pretty good about. And you're just asking for 2. Like, I'm betting the 3 at plus 150. I already took it at 155. But Granlund and Horvat for 2 each, and then Nelson at 3, and then plus 170 is not too bad. I'm trying to produce winners here. It's asking for a lot. 3. There's always something that messes up your parlay. But coming down, right? We talked about the 7. George is going to take the Devils and the Canucks over 2.5 tonight at minus 5,000. But he's going to get the win, right? And he's going to be able to get a cheeseburger at McDonald's tomorrow. Buffalo and Detroit. Let's go to Buffalo. Rick Jenneret, man. I met him in the elevator one time before a Sabres and Nashville game in Nashville at the FSGA. Jack Eichel is just a young buck, man. He was dressed in 9. He was looking like a baller. I didn't say anything. I was just trying to be professional. And then Eichel left, and then Jenneret, I was just like, yo, what's up, man? You're the best. You're the best. Took a picture with him and talked hockey for a little bit. La 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 Fontaine. I love that from him. Anyways, it sounds like Tage Thompson's back tonight. It's good news. Doesn't sound like Jack Hughes is going to play here tonight. Nelson's not 100%. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I thought he was fine. I know that he left the last game, but I thought he was good to go here tonight. Maybe be cautious with that one. Still like the Granlund call, and I like the Horvat. Like Horvat even more, guys, if Nelson doesn't play here tonight. Sup, Chris? Sorry, can you give like your top 2 or 3 goal scorers tonight, please? Emmerich, I will. We're almost done the show. We'll recap here with my top. I'll give like 5, but I'll go in order of how I like them. But right off the top, if you can't hang around Emmerich, it's Toffoli and Kempe are 2 of my favorites for sure. Okay, so Detroit here tonight. I like the Wings. I didn't know that Thompson was going to return. I know he was practicing and skating, so we probably can get a better number here. Detroit's been playing good. They're perfect when they score 4 goals. They're minus 125 on the road. The Sabres is home dogs at plus 110. The total here is 6.5. I kind of have to lean to the over. Detroit's been playing to a lot of overs, playing to a lot of high scoring games this season, and they're getting a lot from certain players. You look at their last few games, 5-4 against the Canadiens the other night. A couple unders mixed in there. Boston was 5-2. 5-4 Ottawa, 5-4 Columbus, 5-4 Rangers, 5-4 Boston. It's not as many overs as I thought, but I know they are a perfect record when they score 4 goals. And a lot of those games that they've scored 4 goals, they've also given up quite a bit as well. A couple 5-4 wins in there. But anyways, I like goals here tonight, and I'll probably shy away from Tage Thompson. I don't see a lot of value in the shot prop game here. Like I see. If I was just to blindly pick, I would take Alex DeBrincat. I would take Alex Tuch. Those are 2 guys. But DeBrincat, I'm seeing the best point for him is at minus 150. So again, another guy. Actually, Bet Rivers. Bet Rivers is the best for shot props. I really do. Bet Rivers and Unibet. But anybody use Bet Rivers or Unibet? Sometimes I put in picks in Unibet, and I was like, I don't have Unibet. But there may be a couple that have them. Anyways, DeBrincat at minus 136 for 3 shots. I dig that one. I like that one against the Sabres. And then Alex Tuch would be the other guy that I would go to here. I know JT Paterka has been pretty good, but Alex Tuch is minus 150. So Tuch's a guy that I think you avoid that as a single. Minus 150 for Tuck is not ideal, but maybe you put that one into, the Fiala or the Trevor Moore. I like goals in this game. A couple players that have been hot. JT Compher. It looks like they're planning to have, I would say, Kane and DeBrincat play together. And I thought that when Larkin returned to the lineup the other night that he would be back with DeBrincat, but he wasn't. And they had Kemper with Kane. So I have this feeling that they're going to roll some sort of line that has maybe not tonight, but Kane, I'd say Kane, Kemper, and DeBrincat, and they're just trying to get some chemistry with Larkin and some other players there, Valeno and whatnot. But JT Kemper tonight at minus 120 for a point. I think that was a pretty good one. I had that against the Habs the other night. He didn't come through for us. He had a couple of chances, but I really like where his game's at the moment, and I like goals in this hockey game. He's got 17 points in 23 games. He's actually hit the score sheet in 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of his last 12 hockey games. Got 4 goals over that span, 20 minutes and 54 seconds the other night. He's played at least 20 minutes in 4 of his last 5 games. Getting a lot of ice time. I know he had an opportunity in Colorado. It just didn't work out. It seems to be working at the moment right now for JT Compher. So it may be my favorite play in the game. We go to DeBrincat shots, we go Tuck shots, and away we go. Keep firing the combi bets means I use them. BR, Unibet, Parks. So many mispriced lines there. Just the limits come quick. Okay. Yeah, Bet Rivers, I find the shot props they're the best. I just want to see what the Red Wings have going on tonight for their lines. Okay, so Fabry's on that top line. It's not Valeno. So they got DeBrincat, Compher, and Valeno on that second line. Man, the Red Wings are scoring goals. Like, this is a team that they're kind of surprising me. They were one of the most busiest teams in the offseason. They're number 3 in goals for at 5 and 5 per 60 at 2.97. Like, they're scoring goals. It's not totally lucky. Their expected goals are not in the top 10. So the shooting percentage is like a touch high. Like, the Canucks lead the NHL at 10.6, and then Red Wings at 10.5, and then the Coyotes at 10.5. So maybe they're punching above their weight just a touch. But they got some decent players there that, can put pucks in the net. Obviously, Larkin and DeBrincat are one thing, but Fabry's on a little bit of a run. Lucas Raymond hasn't been the same since the rookie campaign, but we know that he can score some goals. Kopp was just brutal last year, and he's been much better this year. So I'm going to go to Fabry as well for a point here tonight. So these guys that are, plus 124 for a point is pretty good when you're playing on the top line, and the recent form that you've had, right? And that's why we're on Granlund. That's why we're taking the shot on Byfield. Like, Byfield is a nice prospect that's coming into his own. Fabry at once upon a time, nice prospect, but he's had some nice moments here, especially lately. So let's take Compher for a point at minus, I think that was minus 115 or something. And then we'll take Robbie Fabry for a point. And that one over at DraftKings is plus 124. At a BetMGM, it's plus 120. I like this one quite a bit, actually. It is one that I didn't have circled, but like him playing on that top line. He's had 3 multi-point games in his last 6. He's hit the score sheet in 4 of his last 6 games. He's got 7 points over that span, and he has 5 goals. So that's part of he's probably his shooting percentage. Like, this isn't sustainable, but he can score, right? He's shooting 38.9%. Like, my goodness. He's got 9 points in 11 games, 7 goals. He scored 7 goals in 28 games last year. So he's got 7 through the 5. Like, it's not sustainable, but he's certainly getting an opportunity. Not sure what the Sabres got going on with their lines. They already had Tuck away from, or they had Tage away from Tuck. It looks like they got Middlestat, Tage, and Skinner together. And Tuck is questionable. That's right. Tuck is questionable. I put him on the IR plus, and I picked up somebody. I forget who it was. I was just going to bypass some of these sends. I'm not totally interested, or these Sabres, rather. I'm not totally interested. Peterka had the boost there without Tage. I like the Devils, or I like the Red Wings, and I like some of their props tonight. Well, speaking of the sends, let's go to Ottawa. We got Ottawa here at home, and then we have the New York Rangers The New York Rangers pulled one off. The Sharks gave them everything that they had, and they pulled one off the other day. Rangers playing great hockey. New York is atop the Metro at 18-4-1. We've got 80 goals for, 60 against. They got a plus 20 goal differential, which is by far the best number in the Metro. It's just behind the Bruins in the East. Bruins are plus 22. The Golden Knights are plus 22. How about the Canucks at plus 32, and then the LA Kings at plus 31? And how about the Sharks at minus 55? Whew. But the Rangers playing great, 8-2 in their last 10. I like them as well. I think Evan brought them up earlier that, the minus 130 or the minus 140, which I think is at now. And minus 137. So still a decent price over at Unibet. The Sens, it's hard to gauge Ottawa. I know a lot of people were drinking the Sens Kool-Aid, myself included, improved squad. I thought that they would actually be a little bit better last year. This year, the first full year with Jacob Chikrin, I'm not crazy about Tarasenko. Like, he just looks pretty slow at this point. I think it was a downgrade, certainly a downgrade losing to Brinkat for Tarasenko. I wouldn't roster him. I wouldn't hold on to him. But you got Josh Norris in the lineup. It's just they seem to win big, or they lose big, or there's like overs. I don't know. I just got no feeling on them. I think that they should fire their coach. I think that it feels like the team is almost quit on them, but I'm going to back the hot team here in the Rangers. And that's really it. Like, I'm just going to follow a trend here. They're going to get Shesterkin. You got Artemi Panarin, who has 20 assists in 23 games. 20 assists in 23 games. He's got 35 points in 23 games. Unbelievable stuff. 4-point night in his last game. A 3-point night against the Bruins the other night. He's racked up 9 points over his last 5 games, and he's got 5 goals over that span. He's shooting the puck more than ever. Like, this was a guy that I was never, ever feeling at 2.5 shots. We wrote it all year, and now he's at 3.5 at plus 130. I'm not interested in the 4 shots, but how could you not take the plus 150 for 2 points? Like, how could you not take a little bit of a sprinkle on that when the guy has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 multi-point games here over the last month since November 4th? He's got 7 multi-point games. What a freak of nature. It's all about the playoffs for Artemi Panarin. He did not show up in the playoffs. He's, I guess, taken his game to another level. And we'll see what kind of Panarin we get in the playoffs. But we are definitely on the New York Rangers here tonight. And I got to lean to the over, man, with the goaltending. The Sens have the ability to score. We brought them up earlier, and the shooting percentage is not sustainable, I don't believe. But they are inside the top 5 in goals for, 5 and 5 per 60. In fact, they're number 2. And the Rangers are around 12 or 13. So I know it's Shesterkin. I'd say the Rangers get a couple goals, and the Sens have the ability to get a couple goals as well. So because Panarin at plus 150 for the 2 points, because he's getting it done, it does make me a little bit interested in Lafreniere as well. Lexi, it looks like he's, looking like that top overall pick. He's got 8 goals and 15 points on the season. He's got 3 points over his last 3 hockey games. His shooting percentage is at 15%, but he had 17% in his first 2 seasons. He had 16 goals last year. So I think he's going to surpass the 19 that he had in his sophomore season. I think he's going to surpass the 39 points he had last year, which was a career high for him. He's plus 110 for a point tonight. Plus 110 for a point tonight. We'll go Lafreniere. And then they brought up Trocheck. There are a lot of appealing. We just mentioned Shabbat is not going to play in this game. But Trocheck I like at plus 105 over at Bet Rivers. And that line's been pretty good, right? Panarin's driving offense. But Trocheck, if you look at the game log, he goes through these moments as well. One of my favorites to attack when he was with Carolina and Florida, and at times over the past couple of years as well. But the last 4 games, 6 shots, 4 shots, 3, 6, and 3. So he's cleared this one in 5 straight games. 3 of the 5, he's had at least 4. And we're getting plus 105 for Trocheck. So, yeah. Plus 105 for Trocheck. I'm not going to be able to read my writing at the end of the show. And even at Bet 365 is minus 130, DraftKings minus 115 for Vincent Trocheck, 3 shots. This one is, I like that one. And I also like the Kreider one. So for those listening on iTunes, we'll go back to the same game parlay. Bet 365 is so fun when it comes to these. There's actually a couple that I like in this game. I'm glad you brought it up. So Kreider Kreider and Zibanejad is plus 135. Man, we had a 9-1, I think, the other night. We needed one more point from Kreider. So Zib and Kreider plus 135. And yeah, instead of taking the 2 points, you go over to the milestone section over at Bet365 in the same game parlay, and you go Trocheck and Panarin at minus 105. It's pretty good. And then on the Ottawa side of things too, I've been taking Stützle. Man, they shuffle their lines so much. I've been taking it's all about Giroux. Wherever it's Giroux's playing, yeah. So I'll shy away from Stützle with Tarasenko and Batherson, and I'll go Kachuk and Giroux. Norris is interesting to me. I just like to take the twos every time I take the threes. Although it worked out last night, we had Ehlers, Connor, and Scheifele for 3 at plus 175, and then we also had another one for 3 that hit, and they scored a goal, and the other guy's assistant is beautiful. It doesn't always work out like that, even though these guys, I try to play guys that play 5 and 5 and power play together. But I'll go Kachuk and Giroux here at plus 120. That's a pretty good one. And if you included Josh Norris, you're sitting at plus 230, which is not bad. Actually, Norris for a point is probably plus money or close to it. And I'll have to put that on the card with Lafreniere. Minus 120. Minus 120. Sometimes there's like 8-game slates where I don't like anything. And then other times there's 8-game slates where I like too much. If that's a thing. We'll recap at the end. I think we're pretty much done here. So what else do we have? My guy EY. Nashville and Chicago, Anaheim and Colorado, Minnesota and Calgary. Okay, we need to pick it up here a little bit and wrap up. Let's go Chicago and Nashville. I like the Preds. I think the Preds in 60 is worth your time. I know that they're pretty hot and cold, really not getting the goaltending from UC Soros, which is a concern. They've been on the right side of bloats and the wrong side of bloats, but minus 130 here against a Blackhawks team. Yeah, I'm fine with it. It's not one of my favorite bets, but if I'm picking a side, like that's the way that I'm leaning in that game. I got Forsberg in the tracker. We'll just continue to do this with Philip Forsberg until it gets out of hand. It's minus 134 over at Bet Rivers. Minus 134 Bet Rivers. And I don't think we have a board for this, but I don't think we're StreamYard's been working a little bit better here. Sometimes good. Okay, yeah. Forsberg minus 135 for 3. And we've been doing Kurashev too, but I think now it's unbettable. Yeah, it's 162. You can't do that. He's been hitting, man, those 2 shots. He's been minus 136, minus 134 for like a couple weeks in a row. Minus 162 for 2 shots is a touch much. And the Bedard 2.5, like it got back to the 2.5 and it was good to go. Now I don't mind the actual plus 114 for 3.5. It's okay. There's not a lot that I like in this game. It's not a lot. I'm not going to waste my time. But Nyquist is one. I think we have him in the tracker. See what the odds are if they change. Minus 134. He's just playing really good. Like that top line of Forsberg and Ryan O'Reilly and Gustav Nyquist have been over a point per game in like 3-4 weeks span now. They've been really, really good. Ryan O'Reilly's been great all year long. And Nyquist, we like Nyquist tonight. These shot props are too juice. Nyquist has picked up a point in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of his last 12 hockey games. He's just, playing a lot. Way more than he did over the past couple of seasons, getting an opportunity not only in the first line, but the first power play for 14 minutes last year with Minnesota. He's playing nearly 1656, 17 points in 24 games. Ice time is there, and 5 and 5 play we really like as well. I just want to write that one down because definitely a few. Talk myself into a couple there. We were on Forsberg, we were on Nyquist. Preds in 60, not bad. Nashville. Okay. 58 minutes. We do have a board for Minnesota and Calgary. Ever since the Wild fired their coach, they're rolling. We see these things across sports all the time. See a little bit with the Raiders in the NFL, fired their coach. Everybody's dancing in the locker room. They're so pumped. Josh McDaniels without a job. It's like, thank goodness this clown is out of here. Who am I to call him a clown? That's what I hear from Raiders fans anyways. But Minnesota, one of the worst teams in the NHL, like definitely still this season. The penalty kill is brutal, like operating at like 60%. But since they fired their coach, they're 3-0 and they've outscored their opponents, I think 12-3. So let's take a look at that top line. Matt Zuccarello, Marco Rossi, and Kirill Kaprizov. Jared Spurgeon's got points in the last couple. He's somebody to keep an eye on season-long leagues. But I like Marco Rossi, but I just can't find a point prop for him. I haven't been able to find a point prop for him all year. What's going on? He's playing on the top line. Like, give me a Marco Rossi point prop. What's happening here? Can you guys find him anywhere? Like any of your books, do you guys have Rossi? Marco Rossi? Give me a point. He's got points in 4, 5, 6 of his last 8 games. He scored 2 goals the other night. He's got 14 points in 22 games. He should be rostered in season-long leagues. Minnesota's got 4 games this year. I think even in redraft, I had him and I dropped him and I picked him back up. Doesn't seem like anybody really wants him. But anyways, the Wild, as I mentioned, the 3 wins in a row, the 13 goals in those 3 games. And I think let's just follow a trend here, right? They're on the road. It can be a tough environment to play in Calgary at the Saddle Dome. They're going to go through the West Coast Canadian trip there over the next couple of days. Minnesota, I believe that they are Edmonton and Vancouver here next coming up. But let's ride with the Wilds. Let's take them at -110 here at Unibet. I can't find what I want to find, but I do like Joel Eriksson Ek for 3 shots. Joel Eriksson Ek is -134 over at, we do have that one in the tracker as well. And that one is the best price, of course. Surprise, surprise, over at Bet Rivers. So I'd like to find Rossi for a point. Maybe you guys maybe want to do a goal. We can find him for a goal. First goal at 25-1 over at FanDuel is real nice. Plus 360 for a goal. So it's a little bit of feels like a long shot. But, you know, when you're playing with Zuccarello and you're playing with Kaprizov and you're getting that ice time, and you're just going to fall into goals. Like, these guys are wicked passers. Marco Rossi at plus 360, Tanuit for a goal. And I think Matt Zuccarello, the odds the other night for an assist were a little juiced because it was Chicago, but -130 for an assist is not too bad. I would do go back to the same game parlay for those 2 guys. You can maybe we can get plus money, plus 100 for Kaprizov and Zuccarello point. I love it. Bet365 does not have Marco Rossi either. Okay. I'm going to shy away from the Flames. I don't like putting my money on Calgary. I like Mackenzie Weegar. Mackenzie Weegar has been joining the rush and he's been shooting the puck like a madman. I think Sutter held him back. This guy's joining the rush all the time. He's plus 100 for 3 shots. He's -150 for 2 blocks, which he probably does, but I don't want to pay that kind of juice. But for example, like, you know, he's got 3 blocks in 2 of his last 3, 5 shots the other night, 4 shots the 2 games before that. So he's got 10 shots in his last 3 games. He's actually had 3 shots in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his last 9. This is kind of like 50-50, but the ice time, 22 minutes, 23, 22. A lot of ice time for the old boy. Points in 3 straight, points in 4 of 5, points in 7 of 9. Kenzie Weegar's playing pretty good hockey. Okay. I think there was just one more. What was the final? Oh, Colorado, Anaheim. What am I going to say here about this game? I got burned the other night. I had the Avs in the puck line. Cale Makar. I don't know if Cale Makar is back to play. I'm not taking Avs. I'm not taking Avs puck line. I'm not taking them in 60. I'm not taking them at all. I don't think I'm going to take anything really in this game. I don't see a ton of value. 4.5 shots at -200. What are we doing? 5.5 shots. We were not asking for 6 at plus 110. 2.9 is -130. I think the only value really in this game is Nichushkin. Because he plays 5-5 with McKinnon, and because he plays 5-5 with McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen, they all play together 5-5 in power play. And because you got -130 for a 2-point night for Nathan McKinnon and plus 100, I think plus 110 for Mikko Rantanen, you're getting plus 175 at DraftKings for Nichushkin. So it's a decent long shot, end of the night. We're hopefully counting our winnings from early games. We're not tilting. We're not tilting at the end of the night. We're just trying to make more with our investments that we've gotten some decent. We've doubled down and we're getting some more. What am I trying to say? Either way, you're taking the money that you won earlier and we're putting it down in Nichushkin for a 2-point night. bats. Plus 175. I like it. He's minus 105 for an assist. That's not bad either. Ducks upset? It's possible. I don't hate it. They're not playing great. They're not playing great at all. They did just beat Colorado. The Avs lost 3 straight, 4-3, 4-3, and 4-1 to the Kings. Nichushkin has 4 multi-point games over the last 3 weeks. He hasn't hit the score sheet in the last 2, but 27 minutes the other night, 25 the night before that. Man, the Avs are so thin, man. I think they're a one-line squad. I think they're good. Obviously, they're good. Their defense is fantastic, and Georgiev's great, but they're a one-line squad. Ryan Johansson's not it. They haven't been able to fill that second center void since they lost Kadri. That's my concerns with Colorado. Like they're going to run into teams like Dallas and LA that are in Vegas that are just deeper. They're just deeper, and the bottom 6 of those squads are going to overtake the Avs. Maybe we ride with Ducks. Maybe we ride with a reverse puck line on the Ducks. Anyways, Nichushkin for the Avs is probably my favorite player. If there's no Cale Makar, Bowen Byram, Devon Taves, these guys get a boost in ice time. You know, they're interesting in DFS. Maybe a flyer on I don't think we'll see a Bowen Byram shot prop. I know we had a couple points the other night. Minus 180 for 2 shots is just not good enough. The guy that we've been going to all year is Frank Vetrano. Minus 143 is a decent price. You can take that one as a single. DraftKings is hanging minus 166. You'll have to put that into the parlay with a couple other juice guys that we talked about. But Vetrano's been doing this one pretty consistently. In fact, he's had at least 3 shots on goal in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of his last 8 games. He just had 2 the other night against the Avs, but he did pick up a point. And the attempts were there. The attempts are always there for Frank Vetrano. And, you know, I just don't love it. Even though the Avs are not playing great, 3 losses in a row, potentially without Cale Makar. I'm not even seeing a point for Mason McTavish. I was going to give Mason McTavish a point. He's plus 140 for 3 shots. We're just going to end it there. I think if there's an upset tonight and it's not the Sharks, it could be quack, 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 Mr. Ducksworth. Plus 105 for the reverse puck line. SJ Sharkey, quack, 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 Mr. Ducksworth. Missing Cam. Missing Ryan O'Reilly in Toronto. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, great defensive center. You know, why didn't they re-sign Lafferty? What's the deal? Like, they could have had Lafferty much cheaper than they could have had Reeves. Well, Keith didn't like Lafferty. I mean, Lafferty's got, 5 or 6 goals this season. He's much better 5-5. Every time I don't watch a lot of Leafs. I watch enough Leafs. Every time I see Ryan Reeves on the ice, the Leafs are getting scored on. Am I not wrong? Like, is he plus minus is such a silly stat? I don't play with it in fantasy. You don't play with that silly stat. It's just eliminated altogether. It has nothing to do with anything. Dude hops on the board, 2-on-1. Guy hops on the board, off the boards on the ice, and they score plus. You know, vice versa off the ice. Just going for a change, minus, or just getting on the ice, minus, all this stuff. It's crazy. He's minus 10. Played 17 games and he's minus 10. Like, that shit's hard to do. He's only averaging 7 minutes per game, and he's like a minus 10. And I don't get the contract one bit. He's there to fight in the regular season. He's not going to fight in the playoffs. It's going to be a liability. He's not going to play in the playoffs. He's going to play like 4 or 5 minutes a game in the playoffs and give up a goal. That's hard to do. You think there's any pressure on the Devils coach if they continue this rate for the next 20 games or so? You know what? I did say at the start of the season that Lindy Ruff's job was maybe on the line. I know that they just restructured his contract. I think they gave him a bit of a raise, but I do think that there's high expectations in New Jersey. I don't think so. I think the Devils, I think they'll give Ruff this year, and I think the Devils will make the playoffs. I think they're one of the teams that's outside looking in. I think they'll get in. I think they'll right the ship. They need to figure this out in goal. They need to figure this out between the pipes, man. Vanacek's not it. I thought Schmid would be much better this year, and I thought he had an opportunity to take the job away, and he just is not. And he's been given every opportunity to take the job away. from Vanacek, and they're just not getting the goaltending at the moment. The 5-and-5 play is great. You look at their numbers from an analytical standpoint, they just check a lot of boxes. They don't give up a lot of chances. They generate a whole lot. They've been without their top two centers for a good chunk of the season, and with Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes. So I think that they'll be fine. They're, without Dougie Hamilton now, who's, their best defenseman, logs a lot of minutes. They're going to have to adjust. They got a lot of youngsters now on the blue line. So they're going to play to a lot of overs. I think they're going to play to a lot of fun games. That's why I like the over tonight. But I think his job is fine. The only way is if they, say they lost like 7 of the next 10 with a full healthy lineup minus Hamilton, then maybe there's some sort of coaching change there. But I think Ruff will have the rest of these experienced coach, probably out of all the coaches in the NHL, does anyone have more games coached than him? Paul Maurice. And then I'd say him. I'm trying to think like off the top of my head. Laviolette has been around for a long, long time. He's got a lot of experience, a ton of experience. Lindy Ruff. I don't think he's won the cup, right? They lost the cup against the Stars in 2000s. Skate in the crease, no goal. Brett Hall, no goal. Okay, let's recap. I think he's gonna be fine. Zuccarello call is not too bad, right? Flames are kind of stingy. They don't give up a lot, but definitely balled out against the Blackhawks. And Zuccarello's playing pretty good, right? You see this all the time. Most of the time, anyways, when there's a coaching change, you see a big boost, right? These players that are now fighting for, ice time. They're trying to prove to their new coach what they can do. And maybe they were in the doghouse with their other coach, or they weren't getting the ice time, or they were just in a bit of a rut. So, a change can do you good. That's what Cheryl Crow told us. All right. Sides, totals. Let's start there. Got Kings in 60, Kings puck line. I like the over between the Devils and the Canucks. I like the Rangers on the money line. I like the Red Wings on the money line. I like the Preds in 60. And I like Minnesota money line. I know that's a lot. My favorite sides would just be like LA. Let's go all in on the Kings. There's a lot of good props here tonight. Let's go all in on the Kings. Puck line in 60. Take the over between Vancouver and New Jersey. I do like the Devils to win that game. I do like Minnesota to win that game, and the Rangers. But if I'm just calling other teams, I think let's not get involved with the Islanders. I think reverse puck line for the Sharks and the reverse puck line for the Ducks are both in play tonight at plus money. I really do believe that those two games will be tight. The under between San Jose and the Islanders also in play. So that's sides and totals here for me, but we're in on the Kings. As for the props, so let's try to start in order of how I like these things. Quentin Byfield is where I'd like to start for a point. I like Quentin Byfield for a point tonight. A little sprinkle on the assist. I like Kopitar for a point. I like the same game parlay between Kopitar and Kempe at plus money for a point as well. Trevor Moore, a little bit of juice on Trevor Moore and Kevin Fiala for the shots. But LA, we're riding with the Kings here tonight. Over to the New Jersey and the Vancouver game. I like Jack Hughes for 5 shots. I like Jack Hughes for 2 points. I like Luke Hughes for a point at plus money. A little sprinkle on Luke to have an assist. And I like the over 1.5 shots for Luke Hughes as well. On the Canucks side, it's this Hughes game. Are you kidding me? What's going on with the Hughes family? These guys are all superstars. Quinn Hughes, Luke Hughes, Jack Hughes. Can we get like some sort of, is there any like special, like if this happened in the NFL, there would be some sort of special. There'd be like a 5-point night at 10-1. Like these guys may combine for 5 points tonight. Quinn can get 2. Quinn leads all defensemen in points at 34. Jack leads everybody in the NHL in points per game, 1.76. And Luke has 14 points as a rookie, just 6 behind Bedard. So anyways, goal scorers, we'll get to them at the end, but I like Toffoli there. A little bit of a sprinkle on Mercer. I like Mercer to pick up a point. He's been pretty good on that third line tonight with Holtz and with Timo. I think the Devils squeak one out. It should be a fun game. Okay, let's go to the rest of the props look like this. Gustav Nyquist for a point, Philip Forsberg for 4 shots. I got Granlund for 3 shots at plus 150. Granlund for 3 shots. I like the under in that game. So I'm personally going to bet him to pick up a point because of the ice time and the usage that he's been getting, but just maybe take the shots on the other side, Bo Horvat. And then the under 5.5 is one that I like in that game. I don't think we'll see a ton of offense. That's why I'm a touch hesitant with the Granlund point to give you guys. But I'm taking the shot prop. I'm going to take a stab at that one, given the usage rate and the shot attempts that he's had lately. In the Detroit and Buffalo game, I like JT Compher for a point. I like Alex DeBrincat for 3 shots, and like Robbie Fabry for a point in there as well. The Rangers game, I like Panarin for 2 points. We talked about Panarin and Trocheck for a point each at plus money over at Bet365. Also Zibanejad and Kreider for a point each. In the same game parlay, just put them as separate tickets, plus 135. Like Trocheck for 3 shots inside that game. And then I'm going with the Josh Norris point, and I'm taking the Claude Giroux and Brady Tkachuk same game parlay for a point as well. And I think that's it. I think we hit up on everything. I like Trocheck for 3 shots, a little bit of a stab, the late night stab on Nichushkin for a 2-point night there. And the Minnesota Wild, we like Joel Eriksson Ek. We got the same game parlay for Kaprizov and Zuccarello at plus 100. Can't find the Marco Rossi point prop anywhere. So that's it. That's what we got for goal scorers tonight. I like Tyler Toffoli. And I like Adrian Kempe. Those are the 2 guys this evening that I like to score goals the most. I would then go to Alex DeBrincat of the Detroit Red Wings. And then I would go to Philip Forsberg of the Nashville Predators. So there's 4 for you guys. And then the 5th, it's got to be in that New Jersey or Vancouver game, either Nico Hischier or Brock Besser. I think Timo Meier is in play. Of course, Jack Hughes, right? I mean, Jack Hughes, if you're just looking for straight up winners and you don't care about the odds, like Jack Hughes would be in, I would bet him ahead of Timo Meier. But some longer shots there, like Nico Hischier or Alexander Holtz, a bit of a longer shot there, but definitely in on Tyler Toffoli. And then I think that's it. I think it's certainly going to be some goals in the Rangers and the Senators game. I would lean with either Chris Kreider or let's go with Vincent Trocheck. We like Trocheck tonight. Panarin's been a 2-point per game type of player here this season, especially over the last month. He's 20 helpers on the season. That's crazy. So like a Lafreniere or Trocheck goal, I think is definitely in play. All right, guys, we did it. Appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out for as long as you did. Got some goal scorers here. We got some sides. We got some props. Got some picks. Hopefully not super confusing being solo. You guys like the format. I'll have the time codes in there. You can jump around and go to your favorite teams and things like that. We'll talk fantasy hockey on Thursday. We do have the article over at ftnfantasy.com. It's in the link inside the description of this video if you want to check it out. Just looking at some 4-game streams, some players that buy, hold, and sell. But it really is all about the 4-game streams. Get the most out of your opponent, and that's how you win the trophy at the end of the year. All right, we're out. See you guys. Let's get a fun game from the Hughes boys, and let's get that Kings W. Troy, we love you. Cheers.